everybody, welcome back. Alright, so you see here in front of me, I got a camber of water. And you might be thinking, what's this water for? I know I would be. Not really. But if you recall, a couple weeks ago, we talked about a natural source of food inside the city that a lot of people don't realize. And that's an oak tree. Now, granted, the oaks that we have here in our city, they're planted for decorative purposes, strictly. But we have red oaks. Now, there's good and bad things about having red oaks, okay? The bad thing about red oaks is that they do contain a lot of tannins, which means that it requires a lot longer to process to leach out those tannins before they can be made edible. Now, but the good thing about them is that when they fall to the ground, you actually have more time to harvest them because they're actually hardier and they resist rot and sprouting a lot longer. So, what's the water for? Alright, so let's say you're out, maybe not in the city, but maybe you're just out in the forest and you're harvesting oaks. You're harvesting acorns. And you get a whole bag of them, as we have here, a bag of acorns. But going through each and every acorn is a time-consuming process. And so you might think, well, there's got to be a way to know which ones we should make an attempt at and which ones we shouldn't. And since I haven't tested any of these yet, but we're going to see what happens when we put these in the water. And we're going to see if we have any viable options that might be edible or if they're all just rubbish. Now, let me get this bag open. I tied it a little bit tighter than I thought I did. But anyway, so basically, we just rip it open. So what you do is you take some water, all right, and to find out which ones are definitely bad, definitely good, it's kind of sometimes it's hard, but you put them in the water. Now, so far it's not looking good. Now again, we had those monsters brutally destroy those trees. And so, this is definitely a bad sign. So, as you can see here, they're all floating. Every last one of these acorns is floating. So that means that these acorns are all bad. A good acorn would have sunk to the bottom. Now, I'm not surprised because I think most of these acorns are from a previous season. Because as when we were looking at the oak tree, they all seemed to be pretty small. There was no real developmental growth to them. So this is a way though, because just by this simple test, I wouldn't waste my time trying to harvest any of these acorns. They're all floating. A good acorn will sink. And so this is a very simple test that you can perform to know if your acorn harvest is good. And as you can see, not a single one of these acorns sinks. You can't even force these suckers to stay down. So that means that they're all bad. It's a pretty simple test, but this is one of those tests. I wish that there had been a couple good ones in here, and I picked up a lot around the base of that tree. But I was afraid that most of these were I was afraid that this was going to happen because they were all pretty much down there. I'm going to try to find a couple more places in the city where there's some oak trees, and I'm going to try to find some good acorns so that we can see the difference. But if you were to do this and all of your acorns floated like this, more than likely you got bad acorns, because a good acorn will sink. And I've seen the test work. I've done the test before. There's one that's even cracked. So yeah, so not a single one of these acorns is good. I mean, there might be a couple in here that are, but based on the float test here, I would not waste my time even trying to crack these open. And so this here, and I didn't know how this test was going to come out, because like I said, I hadn't tested any of these before. This is the first time that I put them in the water. You know, so this is just the way it is when you get out there and you harvest. But one of the important things is, though, by running this test, you save yourself some time, because you know that these are no good. So now you can go about and you can harvest new acorns and see if any of those are good. But like I said, based on this test here, this right here, you would have nothing in here that would be edible. And this is just one of those things, because part of foraging and finding food is to be able to know how to identify what is good and what is bad. And this water test is a good way to identify whether your acorns are good or bad. Now, after I find another location, because I'm almost positive that every acorn at this location is bad because of how bad the trees were just brutalized. It's a sad. But there are other places in the city that I've seen that have, you can see this one here. As the water soaks in, you can see how this one, you can see the cracks in it. Yeah, so this one definitely no good. And you can see, like right down here, you can see that the cracks are getting exposed in the water. So hopefully I'll be able to find somewhere in the city where there's another harvest of acorns that we can run the test on. And then once I do that, then we'll do another video, because in order for me to complete this, we have to find ourselves some good acorns. That way I can show you how to harvest the nut out of the inside, how to leach the tannins out of it, and pretty much how to make it edible. So this is just one of those things, when it does come to foraging food, you need to know. Like, none of these here, you're not going to want to eat these. These are going to be bad for you. So you want to avoid the floating acorns.